What's up, y'all? Hope y'all doing well. And we are back on World. Man, I gotta say, my life has been going crazy. That's the reason why I really haven't been able to upload. And it's kind of weird because a month ago when I was making videos, I just assumed I could just have a weekly schedule and everything will be all chill. However, man, things are different. So if the uploads get more stretched out, thank you for staying patient with me. And also in terms of having a set time of when I'm going to be making videos, I definitely should stop doing that because I just can't fulfill them because of the fact that IRL stuff is just all over the place. So big thanks to all y'all supporting me and just watching the videos and enjoying it. It does mean a lot to me. So back to the race. We are driving the 911, what is this, 991 Carrera. This is the Snowflake edition. I changed the way it looked a little bit to make it more my taste. But this is one of the 3 cars we got back in Christmas where you got the Snowflake vehicles. So I just been driving this car and it's kind of weird how it's a good B-class car. Well, it's a viable B-class car according to the game. However, I don't know what the meta status is no more. But we are keeping up with this spiker. Although, man, I really lost the lead earlier. It's just this car does drive pretty normal. There's nothing spectacular about it. However, it's a nice driving car and it really looks good. And the snowflake effects are pretty dope. And it's kind of crazy. I still remember when this car first came out. Times have changed. So shout out to Mayun. Again, going back to what I was saying about the setting like a deadline on when I'm going to get things down. I told this person that I was going to make the video last week. However, that didn't happen. So sorry about that. But shout out to the F40 for completing their goals in completing the time attack challenges. And we are driving possibly one of the worst cars I've driven recently, but in terms of how easy it is to drive, it's not an easy car at all. But this car actually reminds me a lot of the first revision of the M3 GTR. And what's really ironic is that this Carrera GT was actually going to be showcased as the first S1 car. In fact, I think it's the only, well, actually, it's not the only S1 car anymore, but it's the only maxed S1 car I have because I think the Shelby is also S1. However, I drove the Shelby and it might be better for team escapes. But also, this car ended up being my first S2 car because I got the Valentine's Day edition. Was the Beauty? Yeah, I got the Beauty edition of this car. And I gotta say, from going from S1 to S2, it has a little bit better grip. However, they both drive very similar. And this car is so difficult, man. Now, I think it might have speed because I think when I race this car on other tracks, it was able to keep up on the straights. However, it turns, it just wants to drift all over, so, and this is one of the races where I was still getting used to the car and it was just slipping and sliding over, and especially when you're so used to other cars turning, and the moment this thing turns, it just does not want to turn at all. It just wants to slide, and the moment you turn too much, it's so difficult, It's quite a far cry from the last time I used the CGT Ultra, which, man, I gotta say, that was probably like 4 years ago when I was making the video about how to complete that one track without losing progress. So I used the CGT for that one. And I gotta say, it went from being a car that was so underwhelming, because if you remember back in OG World, this car was teased so much. The devs literally had the AI use the car, and they made a whole trailer for this thing, all for it to be so terrible in S-Class. It was just, it had weak NOS, nothing was spectacular about it. And it was just like, it was like old and outclassed. And when it was like one of the last cars to be released. So I don't know what was up with that. Was there licensing issues? Like why it took so long? Because to be fair, this car should have probably been, either it should have been the base game, or it should have been one of the first cars released, because the performance of it was, if it was released earlier in the OG game, it would have been better for viability. However, it was kind of a disappointing car. And I remember this car was tuned to A-Class at some point in World, in WUG. And it was pretty viable, but I don't know what it's like now. But I just gotta say, it's so slippery. And congrats on completing the TAs. Now onto another car that I just bought. And I gotta say, this is probably one of my favorite Team Escape cars. Man, I left this car under the radar for so long because I picked other cars to use in Team Escape. But this Audi R8 5.2. Rest in peace to Audi R8. I think maybe... man, it's been a while. It's probably been like a year or two ago that the Audi R8 was discontinued. And it's crazy because I remember growing up, it was this and the Nissan GTR as the, you know, quote-unquote affordable supercars, even though the Audi is a little more expensive. However, it was still one of the more cheaper supercars to get, and the GTR had supercar performance, but it was a sports car. I'm thinking, like, what classifies as a supercar, what classifies as a sports car? However, what I'm trying to say is that the Audi looks more like a traditional supercar because it has the rear engine, the way it looks, and the first gen R8 aged so well. I actually like it way more than the second gen. Second gen, good looking car, however, nothing beats the first gen, especially this 5.2 model. It just looks so good. And the funny thing is, I like the wheels on the Le Mans Quattro, so I was actually trying to grind up for that. And then when I bought this car, I checked in the aftermarket shop, and I'm just like, wait, this car has the Le Mans Quattro wheels. Why not put these on this car? And forget about grinding for the other one. The performance is probably different. But to be fair, I really don't care. I just want a car that's good at something and looks great. And this car is great at Team Escapes. I'm telling you, man, it's like, even in an unfavorable situation like that, it pulled through, which is something that I didn't even know, you know? All these years, I had no idea. This car was probably retuned maybe like a year or two back. And I just didn't bother taking a look at it. I did not bother taking a look at it, which is nuts because I think it's pretty underrated as a Team Escape car. I really don't see, I see some of these cars once in a while, however, I don't see them too often. And why did I hit that wall? All right, let's get out of here. Yeah, making good time. Just trying to rack up that CTS, and even like, this thing is, if you look at this car, right, it looks like it would get flipped over. Instead, we flipped over that Corvette. Like, that's nuts, man. That's insane. Like, just plowing through these rhinos. Obviously, we got the jug. However, you know, I'm pretty sure these only have the pre-installed 2-star parts. And even this car right now is only on, I think, all yellows in this video. So it's on a store preset, and it's just a nice car to drive, you know? You know, for the thing about Team Escapes, it's not really about how nice it grips and stuff. Obviously, that stuff matters, but it matters more in a race. In Team Escape, you just want the car to just drive good enough and have that weight, that strength, that pushing power, that flippability, you know. This car cannot really flip rhinos and such, as well as certain others. However, it's still a beast. It can still plow through. So in terms of racking up CTS, it might be a little difficult at disabling those rhinos. However, if you're just a team escape person just trying to just get through the course, this car will do it for you. And look at that. Look at that. Just destroyed that Heat 4 cop. And it does flip when you got Jug, you know? So we got that at least. We destroyed that Corvette, and man, this was actually a very enjoyable car. I'm glad we got to, you know, race with this car and destroy some cops. And anyways, y'all, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a good one. Peace.